That's a bit better, isn't it? You got the other one up so we can read it. Hi. Hi. Oh, I hope that's going to be okay. Welcome to Feet Series 2, Episode 10, Unit 9. The Pisces Sun, ruler of the external feet, and Virgo Moon, ruler of the internal abdomen, intestines, digestive tract, and pancreas. This is an intuitive flow state, energetic body alignment series. It's reading, learning, and self-healing body series using source energy and the feet, sound, Pisces, and what we just read before. When we use this terminology in this language, it's not reading as in reading books. It's more of reading body language, reading microfacial expressions, reading. So it's it's reading, but not in the conventional understanding of reading. And when we use knowledge, we've just learned today, it's not the conventional understanding of knowledge from the mental mind. It's a knowledge, intuitive knowledge. It's body knowledge. It's the multiversal laws, nature's knowledge. That's the fundamental knowledge that's so far away from the spectrum of conventional understanding from how we perceive it. So we're just going to start. We're just going to start. We're just going to start by doing some sounding first to focus it in. This is only going to be a quick one because this is us showing our process, and this is our process to get us out to know ourselves better and to show us and learn more the interconnectedness of everything through the body, because everything external of us, it's the cosmos is within the body. So to understand the fundamental laws of the multiverse, we have to understand the fundamental laws of the multiverse within. We've understood the fundamental laws of the multiverse from without, from many perspectives, and done the self-awareness and the self-development and self-understanding work for 24 years. Yeah, since 18 was the main one when we overdosed. The numbers, yeah, the reverse numbers. We like numbers tomorrow. Virgo full moon tomorrow morning at 7:18 a.m. And it goes void of course moon at 8:11 a.m. not long after, and then goes into Libra at 11:26 a.m. and 26 equals 8, so it goes 8:11 to 11:8. We like the numbers. That 2-8 number again as well, isn't it? Yeah. We sound now so we can gain some focus and make this be concise as possible, because we learning to create less stress. Don't create no stress, because we make our own stress. We do. So it's about learning how to not make our own stress. And we balance on left and right hemisphere brain, but we've been developing the left logical brain because that's what society does, but we need to develop the other brain now. And that's what we're doing now, and that's what we're learning. But when you speak to someone that's intuitive and ask them their process or how they know, a lot of the time it's just, well, I don't know, I just know, or I just feel it or something. So yeah, what did we say? We're going to do some sounding just to get to focus and day. So we're just going to keep our eyes closed because otherwise we'll get distracted. So it's the digestive tract. The print off we've got, which I think is from AstroSeek, says it's the small intestines, but they don't offer anything for the large intestines. The large intestines is also called the colon. The Llewellyn book we've got says just the intestines. And in future, we'll ask when we are able to connect into our body in a way where we can get answers and guidance in a way that we understand. So I suppose it would be when we understand ourselves better and we're more connected in the body, which is what this process is about. This process that we're doing is about connecting our body, the internal body, because it starts from within first. It doesn't necessarily start from within first. We believe it does, but if within is tangled, one can untangle within from the outside going in. And that's what the conventional yoga that we in the Iyengar yoga does, gains alignment by doing posture and alignment from outside in first, because before one isn't meant to close their eyes when they do yoga initially, and one isn't meant to look in the mirror initially when they start practicing Iyengar yoga from a teaching, when we were doing our teaching assessment anyway perspective. And we keep talking about processing. So it's about the interconnectedness of everything. It's about the interconnected of the words and the language that we use. And the bowel, the intestines, it processes the food. The food fuels the body. The food is what gives the body the building blocks to build the body. Like one has to buy materials to build a house, or the right materials to build a car or fix a car. How we source those materials, are they sustainable? Are they eco-friendly? What type of materials are they? It's all same but different. There's a summer. in Indonesia when we went when we were 18. So the intestines process, excuse the speaker, the intestines do the processing and the digestive tract does the processing and the digestion of the food. It does the sorting, it does the organizing. And this is us witnessing and finding out our process and understanding that we are attempting to get away from the domestication, the doctrination, the programming of conventional understanding of knowledge and left brain hemisphere dominance, male masculine energies dominance, and attempting to understand and learn the right hemisphere and the feminine energy of intuition. Which is an exceptional challenge coming from a fragmented body and a fragmented mind of many in one. So the different parts, that like tears, the chemicals in the body, different tears. One can laugh, one can cry when they laugh, one can cry when they're sad. One might just shed tears for no apparent conscious understanding whatsoever. The chemicals in those tears change depending on the emotion. And the emotions and the feelings come from chemical reactions. They come from the intestines. They come from the foods that we eat. We can comfort eat food. We can eat sweets and eat sugar to change our emotional state, because then it makes us feel better. It gives a quick serotonin rush. So an emotion is what we are currently understanding as an objective collective agreement. It's an external, it's a word, a title that is used for a set of feelings. So I suppose an objective emotion could be happy, but the subjective feeling of happiness is very different depending on the person. And not just depending on the person, but their understanding of words, their attachment to words, their use of words. And this is something that's been coming up. We've been not only processing in our literal state of our food and our intestines, but our mental, has been lots of processing going on today, and listening to stuff, being triggered by stuff, and understanding why we're triggered. And it's the way people use the words. We hand our power over to people because the mentors, the guides, the teachers, the way the words are used are about handing the power over. It's about, one of the people that was talking was about how we control the thoughts. I mean, how can we control our thoughts when you really dive into it and one doesn't even understand what a thought is in the first place? And if the universe, the multiverse, is based on thought and imagination, then one can't control the multiverse and the universe. So can one really control their thoughts? And we were going into that, and that's what we think suppression, because this was an older male that was saying this. And if they believe they can control something to that extent, then we believe, from learning that other people's opinions and judgments are just a reflection of their own internal reality, and applying that to us as well, to deliver words and deliver context and say stuff that, you know, everyone can do this, it's just a matter of this, 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 and this, is very ignorant. We live in such a diverse world of so many differing energetic patterns of the human being that it's not about controlling the thoughts. And if one thinks they can control their thoughts, we feel that really there's a level of suppression and repression going on, because to control the thoughts is much bigger than what one realizes if they really delve into questioning it, because the human body isn't just the mental body, it isn't just the emotional body, it's all of the, if you want to break it down to simplism, it's the 7 chakras, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Maybe the emotional body being, or the heart body. We get confused on this because we're still learning all this stuff, but we're not learning it from regurgitation of knowledge as such. And we started out doing this, showing different knowledge, reading from books, because that's what we've grown up with, that's what we're used to. We watched a younger girl talking about autism, and autism presents very different in females to men. And one of the things that presents in females differently to males, is females are a lot better at masking and copying. And we watched another girl with the DID. And this reminds us of when we were talking to someone. They were an 18 and 19-year-old lad about 8 years ago or something. And we talked about energy. And it was just normal the way that he discussed it and talked about it. Whereas for my generation and older, it's not hugely normal. To some it is, but not on such a vast... we don't know the words. But yeah, an emotion or a mood, if it goes into a prolonged state, it can become a so it goes an emotion or feeling can be maybe fleeting or sporadic, but if that emotion or feeling gets prolonged, it can turn into a mood. If that gets prolonged, it can turn into a character trait. If that gets prolonged, it can turn into a personality. And in mental health, it looks at stuff as if it's just all in the brain, it's all in the mind being the brain. But for us and our experience and our understanding, there is a consciousness and a mind in every cell, in every bacteria, in every part of the body. There's all the new science that there's neurons in the heart. There's more neurons in the heart. So therefore, the heart brain is bigger and more vast than the brain. But then you have the gut brain. So there's gut intuition, heart intuition, intuitive knowing. You've got the 5 physical senses on the external, but you have that on the internal. And then you've got plus some, and these are the claircognitance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, the perceived psychic senses. But then if you bring in the perceived psychic senses, you have to bring into the concept of time. But if you really get into the understanding of being with oneself and being with one's heart, and understanding that time is only a concept that exists in this 3D tangible seen reality, so that we can interact with each other and have a collective agreement. But really there is no time, and that's the left brain hemisphere of past and future. But on the right brain, it's present, that doesn't exist. Hence, and you get a lot of people that are maybe creative and artistic hooking up with people that are more logical, because there's that balance between the energy dynamics, because normally people are more in one or the other. So this is about processing, the digestive tract processes, and this is like metaphysics, the metaphysics of the body, or it's the secret language of the body, or it's the esoteric anatomy. There's so many different words and terminology that all mean the same thing. So how are we really, as people, attempting to have better relationships with other people, meant to understand each other when there's so many words out there, and everyone, and even if there wasn't so many words out there, everyone has a different attachment to their words. So communication's really challenging in word format. So the more we can communicate through our heart and through our body, opens up this much more vast world of being understood and understanding. Even if that's understanding we can't understand from the mental body, but we can understand from the heart body. But how is this going to happen when people are so scared and so frightened to connect to their heart? And we live in a world that judges and criticizes, or pans over our power and says, this is how you do it. Or we've been taught to look for books, look through knowledge through books, or through listening to people, or the hows to's, or this, that. And it's like, life's to experience, it's to have our own experience. So yeah, we've been doing it. There's been a lot of processing going on. We've not really done much talking, or we haven't even been able to do audio diaries or anything. It's been very much locked inside. So we weren't sure what was going to come out. And that's why we've kept our eyes closed, to keep ourselves focused and grounded and balanced, because it's about being balanced. Because if you take away the words and the language and look at it as a quantum biomechanical body, a puppet on strings, it's about getting those strings all at the right tension, you know, not having ones that are too slack and not having ones that are too tight or too stressed. See where the words overlap. So if we create our own stress, we have to keep that momentum at a balanced equilibrium or oscillation. And the oscillation, the equilibrium comes from that central vortex, the central equilibrium, vacuum of equilibrium, the zero gravity, the zero in the x minus x, y minus y, z minus y of each chakra center. But then you've got the Chinese medicine terminology, you've got your dantian, your lower dantian, and your upper dantian, which are the connecting points between the chakras. Jupiter time, we welcome in Jupiter energies. So Mercury rules Venus. Mercury also rules Gemini. Mercury rules Virgo and also rules Gemini. Venus, though, the energies of Venus, who rules Taurus and Libra, there's a lot of energies in Venus about Mother Earth and Gaia, and that are related to, because there's the picture we've got up in this behind the writing, when you type in Virgo, it came up for Virgo, the green woman's head and nature, but we would have maybe put that more with Venus. So there's all these overlappings of spectrums and colour, which makes sense, because when you go from red to yellow, you've got orange in the middle, which was one of the chakras, but orange is made of red and yellow. And to get from red to orange, it's not block colours, you'd shade them into each other. So it would be red, and then you'd add a bit more orange and a bit more orange until it got orangier. So there'd be this graduation. And that's when people graduate, but I think that means the same thing with colour as well. So we've achieved a couple of things today that have been attempting to do for ages, and then the process to getting this done, it's been over weeks, and then just to buy a few things online, like a few days, and then to do the measurements today. And we got the measurements done today, and I hope they're okay, because we've done this before, and the measurements and stuff have all gone out the window. So this is from the seizures, where everything's just got flipped around, and the alters that got overdeveloped with the left brain and our bookkeeping and our accountancy and the maths, and that side has just gone bye-bye. And so we do things, we think we get it right, if you check it, we go over it, blah, blah, and then it turns out still to be wrong. So we won't know how accurate it is until the stuff arrives, fingers crossed. We got the thumbnails done for this, and tomorrow the Libra. We're going to do Libra tomorrow night. So it's got the Virgo moon, full moon energies in it, because it's on the same day. So we're up to date on our poems. So we're in the new astrological year now in our poetry, which is developing our language skills. It's understanding words and language from a more of a metaphorical, abstract, right hemisphere brain way, rather than a pedantic, literal, which is always how we have been, which is, I think, very autistic related. And we've learned a lot about the numbers. I mean, the stuff that one of us types on the start of the intros of the poetry videos and the end, that's sinking in different layers as well. And 7, we feel, was kind of a good year because we took control and took home extra maths homework to soothe. And 16 was quite a good year as well, 16 and 17. 16 equals 7 when you add it together. 17 equals 8. 8 wasn't such a good year, but 17 was. So second tier 8 was an all right year, but the first tier 8 wasn't. So there's all this number side stuff as well. So yeah, we haven't done any thumbnails today. We haven't done any editing today, because every time we edit on the videos, we're doing stuff on ourselves, and there's just so much energy shifting going on. And the energy is extra intense around a full moon and a new moon, and we find it very challenging. Really hot. there's all planets are direct until the end of April as well, which is so there's lots of movement. So that means there's lots of energy and shifting going on, and it's just back to a constant dance of keeping on top of the kitchen. We're sleeping in the lounge again because one of us emptied the cupboards from the therapy room and the bedroom, so that they're both full of stuff until we kind of do not a complete big organize, but a bit of a sort, so that we condense it down and know, like, you know, there's just bits everywhere at the moment. We didn't unpack our van when we moved out of it, so it's about just moving things around a little bit, and just condensing it down, and we'll do a bigger sort then down the line. But it all gets really quite overwhelming. And then there's the garden, and it's spring, and to get the seeds and grow the food, and it makes us healthy eating the food that we grow. It also makes it happy for the younger ones watching the stuff grow. But it's full on getting all the planning and getting that done. But we finally got the seeds bought today, but we can't now. We need to sort out, do the maintenance on the bed, so that we did do a video that as the visual recently. But the body's been playing up a lot with the EDS. It was really interesting to watch a girl who'd lost a lot of weight on YouTube earlier, and she had they talk about loose skin, and then she said how a lot of people said, do you have EDS? And so there's always these things that were considered rare that we're hearing more of now, but we don't believe they're rare. We just believe the systems and the way the systems are working are outdated, and so all their statistics, all the stuff that we currently use to measure the statistics, to say this, that, the other, it's just because it comes from a male brain, initially male brain dominant things, which thinks in the part, and it's about separation and fragmentation, the part, whereas the feminine energies, the female brain, dominates more with the whole. And we need it all, because to put the whole together you need the parts, but so you need it both, but we've just expanded too much in the fragmentation and thinking in the part, and we need to go into the whole of how it all works together. But we were admiring the girl talking about the autism, and both of them quite young, talking about the DID and their awareness and their self-understanding, but they've got all that knowledge that's out there now about it. And for us, we've got the older, more set in the connective tissue, more set in the fascia, even with the EDS and the hypermobility, but that's because there's too much tension in some places and not enough in others, and so it has to break, and it's doing all this breaking and tearing to then do that, because you can't take that from there to put it there without untying it first. But this is where the body consciousness and consciousness from lots of different directions are working all together, hence the importance for us just to trust the heart, to trust the body, and to be still as much as possible, but without kind of being still. Because it's really challenging letting down those belief systems, all the external programming. And some people can do it through certain ways of the mind and releasing the thoughts or whatever the terminology, but other people can't. And we feel and believe that that's because in some people it's manifested more into the physical body. Some people's physical bodies are made differently. They're made out of different materials. Someone might have more of a Gore-Tex body, which is really good on the membrane of not letting water in but letting water out type thing. But different people, and this is how the energetic makeup that we're born with depends on the history of the family and of the parents and their diet and their nutrition and their trauma and their mental and emotional health. And it gets worse and worse and amplified more going down to the generations. So the older generation's been condescending to the younger generation, saying you're snowflakes and you're too sensitive. It's like, well, no, they're just having to deal with so much more of the shit and the trauma that you guys repressed and suppressed. And it's not about one or the other. It's about, yeah, maybe there is that sensitivity, and the younger generations can learn from the older generations to toughen up, but the older generations can learn from the younger generations to loosen up. And this is where there's no right or wrong. We just feel that it'd be a much more compassionate, gentler world if we could not be afraid of difference, if we could be more accepting of ourselves and more accepting of others. Yeah, so we've sidetracked a lot. There's lots going on. So we just wanted to talk about the processing and how each part of the body, it goes, well, what does that part of the body do? Okay, how does that relate into life or words? Where can you relate it into that? Because, you know, the fuel of a car gets processed through a system. The fuel in the house, what's the fuel in the house? Gas or electric is the main fuel. Then you might have fire, but you have a system and a process to get the electric to the house, whether it's sustainable and eco, or whether it comes through a big grid, or whether it's wood and you have to go out and chop that wood and then bring it in. So when you break down the process and the logic, and I think that's what we're learning to do, and this is us showing our process, because then we watch it back, different ones of us, and we're figuring it out, because although we can't present ourselves in the words where others understand, we are actually incredibly exceptionally intelligent. It's just not in the conventional understanding. But we're learning how to have maximum output with most ease. We're learning how to de-stress. We're learning how to release belief systems. We're learning how to connect all ourselves using the fundamental laws of nature with the moon energetics and the planets and the sun, but mainly the moon. And of course, we've got IBS and lots of other comorbidities that limits the connections in the body, but the body's also fragmented with the fascia, because that's what we feel. We feel the energy in the body. We feel the movements in the body, pushing the intestines back into place, and all the different memories that come out when stuff goes on. And then we've got to deal with the physical body transition, but then we've got to deal with the mental body transition, where in one moment we might be feeling so positive and hopeful when we've got this and we can do this, and then there's the doubt, and it's like, well, and the hopelessness that comes in next time round. And it's just like each day, each hour, each minute has to be a new fresh perspective, and we're constantly talking ourselves through. It's like, well, what does that mean for this then? What have we learned there? And we learned today, when everything was going on for this, because it's not about sitting down and writing and planning, because that uses up a lot of energy for us. It hurts our wrists, it hurts our brain. Then we have to use the energy to follow it, and normally it's not what's meant for the moment, whereas we know whatever we're doing now and whatever we're saying now is meant for the moment, because we connected into our heart and we connected into source energy through our sounding process at the start. We're getting incredibly hot. But the little ones came out earlier and I said a conversation, and we came on our period yesterday, and it's the full moon tomorrow morning, so the energies are just super intense. The full moon brings the water and the energies to and the emotions to the surface. Autism, we've just watched a new series, because we learn a lot from watching stuff as we see it, which is about some autistic flatmates in their mid-20s. And there's one story that we remember now of how he learned how to interpersonal skills and relating skills through watching all the Disney movies, and us just being on our own completely and not having much interaction or human interaction. We're teaching ourselves. We're teaching ourselves everything what we need now, but for better this time, not just copying and wearing a mask on the outside. We learning about ourselves more and understanding ourselves more. It's really hard. Thanks for sharing. So yeah, we're going to go now. If you want to look up what pancreas is, then do your own research, have a look up what it is. And the abdomen, very important, because the abdomen, the outer layer of the membrane thing, holds everything in. but it's not about, we were always taught to hold our stomach in when we were younger, but it's about being able to have a toned abdomen, but not really toned and not holding it in, because that, especially for women, that's really damaging for all those vital organs in that area. It's about being able to relax it and just have it all, but then be able to have it, I suppose, I don't know, because we're not there yet on that, because this is the last area that creates that spiral vortex movement that goes through that whole donut shaped toroidal flow of energy throughout the whole body. But it's not, because it's external of the body, so you have something that's going on here that will go out up here and then go in, and and we've always felt it in very much points, acute points and linear, whereas now, which is more about the particle theory, but then you get into the wave theory, you can feel a much different energetic flow when stuff starts connecting, of a wave going through the through it, which is more like a fascia train rather than a single line like meridian. And all the clicks and the pops, like if you go to a chiropractor and get clicked and popped, it's like all of that being done ourselves through the breath. And then depending where it is and depending what it's on, and the pressure depends on how loud or whatever the click and the pop is. So we're getting to really understand the body in a way that when we're able to get the body back, and I think we said this last time, that we're able to draw it all and present it in visual format and word format in a way that's receptive to others, but we're still in the live reality healing of showing our process, because we're showing it to ourselves. And so we're being reminded and learning more and more through this repetition, and to keep on going and to keep facing those fears of minimizing the continued fragmentation and dissociation through re-traumatization, through triggers, because we've cut everything out so that the triggers that happen now are just mostly controlled triggers that we put ourselves in from what we watch, and then we can talk ourselves through. And we've created a really beautiful environment of a healing, internal healing sanctuary, educational sanctuary that's accessible to all of us. And we did that in our garden. We were very proud of the garden last year. And we're getting onto the back one hopefully this year too. But we have to remind ourselves there's no rush. It may be spring out there and the nature's coming, but there's no rush. If we're getting stressed, slow down, we'll stop. It was we're a season late last year. Maybe we might have to be a season late this year. We had help last year. We don't have it this year. Whatever, it's okay to just be compassionate and gentle and patient with ourselves. And that we're doing incredible. And by this September, it'll be 6 years that we moved in. Hopefully we'll finally got the place sorted. And the journey to get there is quite a story, like the rest of our life's quite a story. So recall yesterday that the tuning forks, one of us said about the order of the tuning forks. It's going to end in the sharp tuning forks, because they are the black keys that connect the white keys being the chakras. So that would be the Sagittarius, because we started on the Sagittarius moon. So we're going to end where we started. We learned that pattern from the videos on the Shintosai and this channel. Tito Ponano! Yeah, there was a half price discounted course for developing the online business from Molly McCord, with the code JOY, and we just put JOI, which is kind of like joy to Coco, to be the abbreviation for Journey of Involution to Co-Consciousness. So it's like $44, the number as well, 44. So they just purchased that today on the credit card, so that we've got the help and support, and we're slowly getting ourselves into all of that stuff, and the guidance. So there's a lot to get through and learn over the next couple of years, but that's okay, because we're getting there slowly, because we've always put all our effort in, but this time we put all our effort in with balance, We're almost on top of the kitchen again, but it's always almost on top of the kitchen again. We seem to be going to and fro. We don't quite get there, then it relapses, but hopefully we'll get there again. So yeah, it's minimizing stress by changing our mindset and perspective on things, but not just by changing like that, but by communicating with each of us to see who's coming from where, and making sure we still can't even really word it, but I think we've said a lot already. So tuning forks, that's it. So yeah, that would be the sharps on the Sagittarius moon, but it'll be on an Aries sun, which is the head, rather than the Pisces sun, the feet. And then for Scorpio, which is going to be a challenge, but Scorpio is actually going to be done on the shifting energies between Pisces into Aries, so that it's going to have Pisces and Aries energy in it. So it's going to have the feet and the head, which is perfect because the Pisces is the pelvis area, and not the Scorpio, it's the pelvis area. So to have the external, the feet and the head, to support that will really give the connectedness of the physical, mental, chemical, emotional body, to bring it all into alignment together, to start to be able to start functioning as more of a whole, rather than these fragmented, separate parts in the body that correlate to the mind. Because we've managed to hide and mask everything our whole life, even to ourselves, because that's what we had to do to feel like we fitted into society and had a sense of belonging, which we never actually felt we had. And now we're coming into the courage of our choosing what identity and what personality to have, to be the best version of us, for us. And to continue and put all that knowledge that we've learned with the Iyengar yoga teacher training, but doing it our way, understanding that the body has this innate healing and alignment and consciousness to do what it needs to do. So but ours couldn't, because it was so broken, and then got more broken, but with a to and fro of this subconscious problem solving, or what have you, because children, the subconscious mind of the adult gets programmed when one's a child. So when one's a child, do they not have a subconscious? Do they have a conscious and the subconscious? Or if the subconscious is being written for when they're at adults, so this must be to be different parts of the brain or something. But we're basically doing that now. So we're in those child state brain networks, and it's not a conscious choice. It's just, this is what us finding the words to put to the experiences after it's happened. It's like a delayed timeline, which again is very challenging for a grown person to be in those networks and stuff. So for us, we're extremely emotionally resilient and strong and resourceful and intelligent to be navigating ourselves all the way through this on our own, the therapists in us, the teachers in us, irrelevant of whether we can actually communicate any of that to anyone else or not. It doesn't matter. We're doing it. We're getting ourselves through it on our own. And when everyone can learn how they learn in their different ways, and to not hand their power over to other people, we start understanding ourselves better. And when we start understanding ourselves better, we can start understanding others better through the unspoken words, the unspoken understanding, the unspoken knowledge, through the heart body, I suppose. So with Sagittarius, it will be, that's the last one, that's the sharps. Scorpio is going to be the Solfeggio set, which takes us through all the liberating guilt and fear, facilitating change and support. We talked through this all through the Leo last one. And then Libra is going to be all the body parts. And what we talked through with the body parts, we're going to add on the pancreas, and we're going to add on the intestines and the colon. Because it's Libra, we'll probably also add on the kidneys and the adrenals. So it'll probably be, so the next three, Libra, Scorpio and Sagittarius, going to be very much on the tuning forks and tuning up the body, because we noticed when we read out the information yesterday of Leo, because we've been doing this for half a decade now, over, we didn't even need the forks yesterday. We just had to read it out, and our body was responding and reacting right in that moment. So it's going to be not word knowledge as such other than the last three. It's not going to be, it's going to be tuning up like you tune up your guitar. It's going to be sound knowledge, body healing, vibration knowledge, frequency knowledge. It's going to be the language of the multiverse. So yeah, we probably talked for quite a while. Yeah, look at that, 50 minutes, an hour. Of course we did. We can't do short, can we? Yeah, so that's it. That's us gone now. We're learning intuition, aren't we? 50-50. 55 adventure. 10. Our Virgo is mostly in our first, well, depending which one, it's either house 1 or house 2. So it's the younger alters I'm learning. But it's a new astrological year coming up with Aries. Our house 1 is Leo, Virgo, depending on which chart. That's on the 21st. We're on the 17th today. And then we're looking forward to having the silent time and the integration time of showing up and connecting into this portal through the World Wide Web, into these unseen energetics through this modality, which is through light. It's very different live to the other things, and developing our intuition and our understanding and our connectedness, because we will be able to show the interconnectedness of everything through understanding the interconnectedness of us when we get there, but we're connecting us to get there in the first place. So thank you, Grandma Moon, Virgo energies, and Pisces Sun energies with the feet. Thank you, beautiful body, and all our bacterial community and our cellular body and our heart and our many, many minds throughout the body, and the memory and just everything that's happening. Because even though we go through these array of emotions and different things, there's been something that we've not been consciously, we've always been consciously aware that we've got this inner strength, but not consciously aware of what or why. But there's been this thing driving us our whole life. We're understanding now, and we're just going to keep going with it and keep processing the emotions. And thank you, digestive tract and pancreas and intestines and just everything, for continuing to find the way and reorganize and retie until we get into that beautiful Celtic knot in the intestines that will then have this expanding outwards of alignment, that we can then feel in all our bodies to create this balance within us, and therefore radiate that out and have that seen in our life and have the distortion and the chaos go. So namaste. Thanks for watching.